The architecture of wealth, cinematic media engineering, and real estate investment strategy in the 2026 market. The synthesis of high-fidelity visual storytelling and sophisticated financial engineering has redefined the landscape of wealth accumulation in the United States as of the first quarter of 2026. This paradigm shift, driven by the democratization of generative artificial intelligence and a structural evolution in the domestic housing market, necessitates a dual competency approach for the modern investor. Wealth is no longer merely a function of capital allocation. It is a function of narrative authority and digital asset management. This report provides an exhaustive analysis of the 2026 real estate market, the psychological mechanics of the investor's narrative, and the technical media workflows required to monetize financial expertise in the high RPM, revenue per mille, digital economy. The macroeconomic foundation of the 2026 housing market. The current fiscal year represents a critical inflection point for the United States residential property sector. Following the extreme volatility of the 2020-2025 period, the market in 2026 has transitioned into a phase of relative stabilization, often described by institutional analysts as a stalling period. National home prices are projected to maintain a nominal growth rate of approximately 2.2%. Yet this must be analysed in the context of an inflationary environment exceeding 3%. Consequently, real, inflation-adjusted home prices are expected to decline for the second consecutive year, creating a unique window for investors to acquire assets at lower real-term costs despite nominal price persistence. National Real Estate Performance Indicators for 2026. The following data table synthesizes the core metrics defining the 2026 National Housing Forecast, providing a baseline for both investment strategy and media narrative construction. Metric 2025, expected average 2026, forecasted average year-over-year, trend 30-year, fixed mortgage, rate 6.6%, 6.3%, gradual easing, nominal home price, growth 2.0%, 2.2%, modest rise. Real home price growth, 1.1%, 0.8%, continued decline. Active for sale inventory plus 19.0% plus 8.9%, continued recovery. Existing home sales 4.06 and 4.3 and 1.7% rebound. Typical monthly payment $2,300, TOE 250 plus 1.3%. Decrease affordability. Threshold 31.2%, 29.3%, improved accessibility. The reduction of the typical monthly mortgage payment below the 30% affordability threshold, specifically reaching 29.3% of median income, marks the first time since 2022 that the market has returned to historically sustainable levels. This milestone is a primary narrative driver in the real estate power segments of contemporary financial documentaries, serving as the empirical foundation for the wealth secret hook. Regional divergence and metropolitan growth clusters. The national stall in home prices masks significant regional variations that are critical for targeted investment. The 2026 market is characterized by a flight to quality and a search for affordability that has disrupted traditional coastal dominance. Dallas-Fort Worth remains the top-ranked market for overall real estate prospects in 2026, driven by a South-Central regional boom that prioritizes demographic growth and business-friendly regulatory environments. Conversely, the Sun Belt markets, once the darlings of the pandemic era, are facing a supply-driven correction. In regions where new construction permits peaked in 2023-2024, a glut of inventory has led to significant price softening. JP Morgan research highlights that the West Coast and Sun Belt are seeing the most significant declines in home prices due to this excess supply. Miami, while maintaining a high overall rank, third, has seen a slight decline from its 2025 peak. signaling a cooling phase as local affordability limits are tested. Cinematic narrative engineering, the master style framework. The production of 2026 financial media requires an adherence to a specific cinematic documentary aesthetic to maintain authority and viewer trust. This style is not merely decorative, it is a psychological tool designed to enhance the perceived value of the information presented. The use of 4K resolution, ultra-realistic textures, and high-contrast lighting creates a sense of prestige that aligns with the luxury real estate and wealth secret themes. Visual psychology of the cinematic documentary style. The master style, utilized in 2026 media production, emphasizes several key technical components: dramatic lighting and high contrast. By employing chiaroscuro-style lighting in interview segments and aerial shots, creators evoke a sense of hidden truths and backroom deal-making, which is essential for hooks regarding wealth secrets. Film grain and depth of field. These elements distance the content from the cheap look of amateur vlogs. A shallow depth of field, low f-stop, focuses the viewer's eye on the subject, signifying expertise and exclusivity. Smooth camera motion, the use of drone cinematography for aerial hook shots, specifically slow cinematic zooms over luxury Los Angeles mansions at golden hour, utilizes the wealth effect to capture attention in the first 3 seconds of the video. The integration of these styles into a 16:9 aspect ratio, optimized for 4K delivery, ensures that the content remains competitive in a landscape where high RPM advertisers prioritize premium visual environments. The hook and the wealth gap narrative, scenes 1-3. The opening 90 seconds of the 2026 wealth documentary are engineered to leverage the contrast effect. By juxtaposing the aerial opulence of Los Angeles luxury mansions with the visceral stress of a middle-class family managing bills, the narrative creates a problem-solution framework that demands resolution. The mechanics of the wealth secret hook, the hook, 0.20, utilizes a deep cinematic boom and a suspense rise in the audio track to trigger a dopamine-driven curiosity response. The text overlay, "The biggest wealth secret isn't what you think," immediately challenges the viewer's prior knowledge, a technique known as pattern interruption. This is supported by the visual of Los Angeles mansions at golden sunset, representing the aspirational goal of the viewer. The contrast segment, 0.20-0.40, moves from aspiration to empathy. This split-screen visual serves to reinforce the housing cost burden metric. In 2026, approximately 58.1% of renters in former boom states like Florida are spending more than 30% of their income on housing, a statistic that provides the raw emotional fuel for this scene. The wealthy investor on the right side of the screen, relaxing in a modern glass house, represents the mastery over the market cycles that the video promises to teach. Real estate as the wealth machine. The transition into the real estate power segment, 00.41:30, involves a fast-paced montage of the New York skyline, Miami beachfront condos, and Texas construction cranes. This sequence is designed to reinforce the scale of the opportunity. The inclusion of Texas construction cranes is a deliberate reference to the South Central region's growth dominance in 2026. The wealth machine overlay serves as the overarching metaphor for the investment strategies discussed later: direct property ownership, Delaware statutory trusts, DSTs, and 1031 exchanges. The historical and emotional narrative, scenes 4-5. To build long-term retention, the documentary must transition from the macro to the micro. The History of Wealth, 130-230, uses time-lapse effects to show old American houses transforming into modern luxury homes. This visual serves as a metaphor for the compounding nature of real estate appreciation, and the history is circular theme identified in modern biopics and financial films like The Big Short. The beginner struggle and the lock-in effect. The beginner struggle, 234, Sue, depicts a young person scrolling through Zillow and receiving a loan rejection email. This scene resonates with the 2026 reality of the mortgage rate lock-in effect. With 4 out of 5 homeowners holding mortgages below 6%, the entry-level inventory is at a historical low, forcing young buyers into a state of frustration and uncertainty. This emotional anchor is crucial for establishing the why behind the advanced strategies. When the traditional path is blocked, the investor must learn to find undervalued and off-market deals. Market explanations and data visualization, scenes 6-7. The middle of the documentary, 4:7:30, is the educational core. This requires a shift in visual style to HUD, tech overlays, and animated graphs. The market explanation scene uses floating charts and glowing data points over city skylines to visualize the 2026 price-to-income ratio, which remains near historic highs. Visualizing the market cycle visual, 6:7:30, is a 4-stage loop that simplifies complex economic theory for the viewer. Booming city, representing the post-pandemic migration to the Sun Belt. Slowdown, empty houses, representing the 2025 sluggish year where sales were at 30-year lows. Crash and news headlines, representing the real-term price decline when adjusted for inflation. Recovery construction. Boom, representing the 2026 forecast for a 1.7% increase in sales and a 3.1% rise in single-family housing starts. This loop reinforces the boom-crash opportunity mantra, which is essential for converting average hesitators into confident investors. Smart investor versus average and strategy introduction, scenes 8-9. The documentary now pivots from the what to the how. Scene 8 uses a split screen to contrast the behavioral finance of wealth. On one side, the average person is seen hesitating as news headlines blare about high interest rates. On the other, the smart investor is seen confidently signing deal papers. This reflects the mindset shift discussed in elite investment literature like Invest Like a Billionaire, where risk is redefined as a function of data, not headlines. The technology of deal finding scene 9 introduces the strategy intro through a high-tech interface. An investor analyzes a property on a laptop with a digital map showing pins on undervalued houses. This represents the data-driven decisions that define the 2026 investor. Tools that underwriting numerous properties rapidly to pinpoint those with high potential are now standard in passive investment groups and syndications. Operational execution, dealing finding to negotiation, scenes 10-11. The documentary shifts to a handheld realistic motion style for the deal finding scene, 10:30-12 Friday. This handheld look provides a sense of boots-on-the-ground authenticity, a stark contrast to the aerial drone shots of the introduction. The visual of knocking on doors and spotting for sale signs reflects the return to hyperlocal and intent-driven search behaviors in 2026. The art of the negotiation. The negotiation, 12:13:30, occurs at a kitchen table, emphasizing the personal human element of real estate. While the data is high-tech, the execution is high-touch. In 2026, negotiating power has shifted back to the buyer as for-sale inventory recovery, up 8.9%, outpaces the growth in sales, up 1.7%. This scene focuses on the handshake and contract signing, symbolic of the win-win deal structures required in a balanced market. The Fast Offers System and Automation, Scene 12, a fast-paced montage, 13:30–15:30, depicts the Fast Offers system. Phones ringing, emails popping, new offer received, and the overlay, get offer on house fast, represent the industrialization of the investment process. In the 2026 economy, speed and consistency are the primary competitive advantages. Automation tools now allow investors to process thousands of leads and generate offers in minutes, a process that used to take days. Targeting distressed sellers and transformation, scenes 13–14. The distressed sellers segment, 15:30–17 WISE, introduces the ethical dimension of the wealth secret. The investor is seen inspecting an old, damaged house with calm confidence, providing a solution to a stressed owner. This is the solution-based investing that attracts high-value audiences who want to do well by doing good. The transformation, 17–18:30, is a renovation time-lapse. This is one of the highest retention visual formats in 2026 media. Watching a broken property turn into a modern luxury interior provides the emotional payoff for the viewer's journey. It also visualizes the force appreciation strategy, increasing an asset's value through renovation rather than relying on market-wide price growth. Cash flow, passive income, and success. Scenes 15–16. The narrative concludes with the payoff. Scene 15 shows a tenant paying rent digitally while the investor checks passive income notifications on their phone. This reflects the 2026 pivot toward income-driven total returns in real estate. With house price growth stalling, the wealth machine is now a cash flow machine. Advanced wealth structures. The DST and 1031 exchange for the sophisticated viewer. This cash flow is often managed through Delaware Statutory Trusts, DSTs, and Section 1031 exchanges. These wealth secrets of the ultra-rich allow investors to defer capital gains tax by rolling profits from one property into a DST, achieve institutional diversification, accessing 100 MET plus properties with fractional investments, swap until you drop, indefinitely deferring taxes until a step-up in basis occurs upon death, potentially eliminating the tax liability for heirs. The mathematical power of this is expressed through leveraged ROI, leveraged, NIFRAC, appreciation times leverage, plus net operating income. Equity invested, cost of debt, in a 2026 environment where interest costs may be 6.3% on. The success visual, Scene 16, of driving a Tesla or working on a laptop with an ocean view is only possible through this rigorous attention to tax-shielded cash flow. Scaling and the final message, Scenes 17–19. Scene 17 shows a map zooming out to show multiple properties owned across the USA. This scale-up visual signifies the move from an individual investor to a portfolio manager. The final message, 22:30–24 returns to the cinematic documentary style, a slow-motion walking shot of the confident investor in a city at sunset. The overlay, start before it's too late, creates a FOMO, fear of missing out response, driving the viewer toward the call to action, CTA. Technical media engineering, next-level execution. To achieve the next-level performance requested, the media production workflow must integrate several high AI tools to optimize for the USA High RPM SEO package. HeyGen Master Prompt. Engineering the HeyGen video agent is utilized to produce the faceless or digital twin versions of the documentary. For a 25-minute video, the script must be broken into 10-12 sections or chapters to manage the AI generation credits and ensure visual consistency. HeyGen production specifications, avatar selection, public avatar with professional attire to match the financial domain, scene-by-scene prompt. Syntax, Scene 1, visual, aerial drone of LA mansion, golden hour, VO. The biggest wealth secret isn't what you think. Duration, 20s. Scene 6, visual, HUD overlay of 2026, housing stats. VO. In 2026, the market isn't crashing, it's evolving. Duration, 120s. Style descriptors. Use minimal clean-styled visuals, blue, black, and white as main colors. Leverage motion graphics as B-rolls and A-roll overlays. 11 Labs. Narration and voice architecture. The voice of the documentary is the most critical factor for retention. For a 25-minute script, the voice must be low fatigue and neutral, authoritative. Voice ID, name category primary, use recommended Stability David, American narrator professional main documentary narration, 50% Christopher, British documentary, historical market explanations, 45%, and Tony conversational personal, investor tips, segments, 30% Natasha, Valley Girl social media high energy hooks, 0.0020, 60%. By dropping the stability slider to 30-45%, the AI introduces natural breath and pacing variation, which makes the 20-plus minute script sound human rather than robotic. USA High RPM SEO and SEO Package 2026. To maximize the revenue per mille (RPM), the video must target high-ticket financial keywords that attract premium advertisers like mortgage lenders, investment banks, and SaaS platforms. Targeted SEO, Keyword Matrix, Real Estate Investment, Keyword 2026, Search Volume Top of Page Bid, High Intent Category, Real Estate Investment Strategies, 2026. 50,000 plus, 12.45 Informational, Educational, How to Buy Rental Property with No Money, 80,000 9.80 Transactional, Beginner, Delaware. Statutory Trust, 1031 Exchange. 45,000 $18.50 High Ticket Institutional, Sell My House. Fast, 823,000 Plazine 13.73 Local Seller Intent, Passive Income Real Estate 2026, 300,000 Plazine 7 Fate Evergreen Wealth. The SEO package for this video includes a description structured with chapter markers, timestamps, every 2-3 minutes. This allows the YouTube algorithm to index the video for specific search queries like 2026 market cycle or negotiation strategy, increasing the video's surface area in search, click-through rate, CTR, and thumbnail architecture. The thumbnail must provide a scroll-stopping visual promise. In 2026, the highest CTR real estate thumbnails follow the one question or before and after format. Thumbnail specification, 10M plus view template, main image, split screen, left. An old dilapidated house with a red loan rejected stamp. Right. The same house renovated into a modern luxury mansion with a green cash flow arrow. Face, emotion. The investor's face in the center, showing an expression of extreme shock or confidence. Expression Enhancement AI is used to sharpen the eyes and intensify the emotion. Text. Overlay. Stalling, or The Secret, in bold yellow Mr. Beast style font with a black drop shadow for maximum contrast against the background. Color grade. High saturation reds and greens to signify risk versus wealth. Optimized for mobile viewing where 70% of YouTube consumption occurs. High performance sound design and music selection. The audio track is the emotional engine of the video. To maintain the 25-minute narrative arc, the sound design must follow a specific progression. 2. Wagsozaun, the hook. Dark cinematic, Hans Zimmer style. Bass-heavy subtones and sharp orchestral hits to signal importance. 10 dark sounds, the struggle, explanation, soft motivational beats, Lo-fi-style percussion that keeps the pace without distracting from the data. Test E20 Chaskus, the strategy, action. Light tech, ambient. Synthy sounds that represent modernity and precision. Tert E25 the success, CTA. Emotional plus inspiring rise. Full orchestral swell that builds toward the final start before it's too late message. Synthesis, the wealth media conglomerate model. The convergence of the 2026 real estate market and cinematic media production reveals a new blueprint for wealth. Investors who treat their media assets, YouTube channels, faceless content portfolios, with the same strategic rigor as their physical real estate assets, are achieving next-level returns. The 10,000-word reality of the 2026 landscape is that information is the most valuable commodity. By mastering the cinematic documentary style and the technical AI workflows of HeyGen and 11 Labs, an investor can amplify their market expertise to a global audience, generating both high RPM ad revenue and a massive pipeline of off-market deal leads. The wealth secret is not just about interest rates or tax codes. It is about the ability to engineer a narrative that captures attention in a world where attention is the new currency. The market of 2026 is steady but not off to the races, meaning those who move with precision, speed, and cinematic authority will be the ones to cross the finish line, first enter script for Scene 1.